You're live on Facebook now.
From Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory to Hare Krishna. For Hare Krishna to Hare Krishna. Welcome back to this podcast on the Bhagavad-gita. Today we have Prahlad and me, Isabella. And if you are watching this when we're not live, welcome too, I guess. Today we're looking at Bhagavad-gita chapter 2, verse 11. Yeah. Woo. Should I start reading in Sanskrit? Yeah, okay.
Do Alt-1. Click on there and do Alt-1. No, on the other keyboard, the white one in front of you. Click on the window. Yeah, Alt-1. What you've done is you've opened the stream in another window. Okay, go into this window here, the screen, and unmaximize that window. See how you got two tabs open? Open the first tab. As you stream back, open the second tab. That's the now. Check that click on the little world symbol underneath the thing. Now it says public. Okay, so click done. Close that window. Go back to the first window. Okay. Yeah, that's the best.
I hear my people.
Yeah, I'll leave a comment and see if it works. We're testing to see if we can bring in comments from Facebook. So I'll leave a comment. Anyway, keep going, and otherwise people will be bored.
śrī-bhagavān uvāca aśocyān anvaśocas tvam anvaśocas tvam prajñā-vādāṁś bhāṣase gatāsūn agatāsūṁś nānuśocanti paṇḍitāḥ. nānuśocanti paṇḍitāḥ.
So the C is pronounced as a ch sound. There you go. Ta-da! And then click on hide. There you go. So you can bring in the comments. There you go. So you can let people bring in comments and you can bring them up. Okay, I'll leave you guys to it. We're going out. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Time for synonyms. śrī-bhagavān uvāca
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
aśocyān
not worthy of lamentation.
anvaśocas
You are lamenting.
tvam
You,
prajñā-vādāṁ
learned talks. Also,
bhāṣase
speaking,
gata
lost.
asūn
Life,
agata
not past.
asūn
Life, also, never.
anuśocanti
Lament,
paṇḍitāḥ.
the learned.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead.
Can you check if because it looks like it's clipping on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah, slightly actually. Just so go to OBS. Good catch. Go to OBS and just move across a little bit. Yeah, a bit more till you know. There you go. And then maybe shrink yourself down. So click on the thing with that. Yeah, and shrink that down so that you're not clipping over it. There you go.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. And then the original version. The Blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. And the difference between the two translations.
The Blessed Lord instead of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yep. And
living nor for the dead instead of living nor dead. Nor the
yeah.
dead.
I can understand what the change is looking to do. The Blessed Lord is left sort of open-ended, while the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pretty, specific. In yep, we definitely know who is talking. While the Blessed Lord could be construed as not necessarily Krishna. So, I get that. Those who lament for the living nor for the dead, those for the living nor the dead, just another sort of editorial
Thingy.
wording process. Yeah. Okay. The purports.
Hey, I read both the two things up the top.
The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student. Calling him indirectly a fool.
Food.
The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the control of both. Arjuna argued that the religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularities. And
Formularies?
And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should have posed himself as a very learned man, as he did not happen to be a very learned man. He was consequently lamenting for something which is unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually very learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. Looking at what changed in the purports.
You. Capital and the little speaky thingies. What? You say the changes. That's the first one I saw, so I said it.
Yeah, well, keep going.
And then instead of as it will be explained in later chapters, it's as explained in later chapters. Yeah. Changes.
And there's another comma added.
Yeah.
Thinking about here, I think at the beginning of quotations you put a capital letter. Yeah, and then they've added the quotations to, say that yes, someone is speaking right then. Which is
I got a turban.
it's whatever. As it will be explained in later chapters, and then as explained in later chapters, that's a difference in tense. As explained in later chapters is previous, which is past tense. And as it will be explained in later chapters is future tense. past tense and future tense. Yes. Original manuscript. Yeah, and these changes is not particularly a lot. But most of them are, almost all of them are basically unnecessary. Changing the Blessed Lord to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I do think in previous chapters or previous purports and stuff, Krishna is referred to as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not just the Blessed Lord. Yeah, I'd have to search for that. But off the top of my head, that's that.
I've never heard him being referred to as the Blessed Lord before. So
yeah, and I don't think that is a norm in the book. Anyway, talking about the purport.
So, yes. How about we respond to that comment first? No looking at you. Oh, wait, there's a comment we need to respond to.
Yeah.
Respond to the comment first.
Cool chatter, Isha. Very
You
Taliban.
can pull comments up on screen now, man. That's what this whole thing was for.
Cool chatter, Isha. Very Taliban. Okay, hand emoji.
Bro is gonna get cancelled, man. Thank you, though, for the compliment, I guess. Well, Arjuna is supposedly learned, and then Krishna's like, basically, you're a fool because, you're lamenting for something that's not exactly real. I don't know. But the body does not matter, whether it's alive or dead. It says that on there. And a learned person should never lament for the body. So, but Arjuna is. So Krishna's calling him out on that and being like, yo, thought you were kind of smart, but bro ain't. Yeah. I know there's more to it, but The change from Blessed Lord to Supreme Personality of Godhead in the translations was a major change.
Well, respond to it.
Man. Well, I have never heard anybody called Krishna, like the Blessed Lord. Oh my God, why am I grey? Call him the Blessed Lord before. It's kind of like Supreme Personality of Godhead sounds a lot more, better. And then as Prahlad said before, the Blessed Lord, it could be like anyone, whereas Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is, sorry, it's just an interesting keyboard. Is pretty like the supreme, like rule over the whole world, but not just the whole world, heaven as well, and hell. Yeah.
About the type. Oh. Okay, looking at where it says the Blessed Lord, the Bhagavad-gita.
No.
Is there okay? Wait, it's your camera. Bhagavad-gita 2:8-12, which was a class. Blessed Lord said, wait, stop messing with it. Okay, it will just look at what I'm looking at. Blessed Lord said, this is from a class that Prabhupada gave a devotee asked. He was talking about the different chapters then. So Prabhupada didn't mention it there. 16, 11, another class. Someone else said, the Blessed Lord said, okay. Little classes. Okay, we can look by book type. Bhagavad-gita as it is. Blessed form. I think that has been scrubbed. That particular phrase is being scrubbed from the thing. If you look at the original here.
I wonder why.
So śrī-bhagavān uvāca. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, you sure? I don't know why I would say the Blessed Lord when the Sanskrit is literally, it says the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Blessed Lord said,
translates.
yeah.
Isn't that like lying?
Like
about what it
even
says?
the translation in the original manuscript says the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, so
Maybe they're just trying to spice it up.
the Blessed Lord. There's gotta be
A Blessed Lord somewhere else.
There's gotta be more there's definitely more purports of
No,
śrī-bhagavān
why?
uvāca. And they all say that the translation would be Supreme Personality of Godhead, I would assume. So I don't know why I would say Blessed Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have a look at the manuscript. Yeah, it says Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord at once took action.
Yeah, the Blessed Lord is. How is that a major change? It's kind of just.
I wouldn't say it's not a major change. It's that that's what it just should be in the first place. Well, it's closer to the manuscript, but who exactly knows if it's closer to what Prabhupada actually wanted to say? Maybe he did want it to be the Blessed Lord, but I don't know. I would deduct that it would say it should probably say the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. Move the side people up above the comments in the screen view. I ain't got no clue what that means.
Move the side people above. Okay, this is probably getting boring for the viewers, man.
Well, would you like to say something?
Why though? Why the Blessed Lord? Isn't there like a thingamabobby where you can like check why the changes were made or something?
Why there is, and there is no. Oh, not the first edition. No, cannot see why it was put as the Blessed Lord. Here we are. You can see that it was changed because it's been highlighted, but when it was changed from the Blessed Lord to the thing, I shall. Yeah. Okay. Talking about the actual purports, we'll look at this version today. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor the dead condition." Yeah, that's implying the separation between the material body and the eternal soul. It's just saying that one who is learned, one who knows that there is a difference between those two and does not lament for any stage of the body. And I think in one of the previous verses, it was talking about the master and the disciple, and the one who is a disciple has all the knowledge, and so if they have all the knowledge, they'll know the difference between the material and the spiritual, the soul. So basically disciples should know the difference between the material and the soul. And then I find it interesting that it said, it also says, knowing the difference between the spirit, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. There's those three different there's those three different categories of stuff: matter, soul, and the controller. And then further on in the purport, it says matter, soul, and the supreme is more important than religious formularities. And so you could say that matter, spirit, and the controller, and then it says matter, soul, and the supreme. You could say those are interchangeable. So the spirit and the soul, the supreme and the controller, and matter. So those are the three different categories: matter, spirit or control, or spirit and control. Spirit and soul, or spirit or soul, controller and supreme controller. Just interchangeable, but they are more important, or the supreme. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is more important than religious formularities. The knowledge of the matter, soul, and the supreme is more important than the religious actions that people take, rituals that people do and take. But the knowledge is more important, because you could go your entire life doing these super pious living. You could live like a super pious brahmana your entire life, but without the knowledge, it means nothing. I think in the previous purport that we were looking at, it said I'm gonna pull it up just so I get this correct. I'm just looking for it now. Give me a second. Oh no. I'm gonna see if I can search for it. Okay. Oh. Bear with me. I think that's right. Yes. So it's Bhagavad-gita 2:7. So it says, "He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life, and thus who quits this world like cats and dogs without the understanding of the science of self-realization." So basically without this sort of knowledge of matter, spirit, or matter, soul, and the supreme, even though you do these sort of religious formalities, you could live your entire life the same as another brahmana, super piously, religious principles and practices, but without the actual knowledge, it means nothing. Or not that it means nothing, but it means less than someone who knows about the knowledge. It is more important to have the knowledge and understand the knowledge than it is to practice, these religious formalities. And so, it continues, and thus, because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. Lacking the knowledge of, matter, soul, and the supreme, and the difference between them, and the importance, what is more important, because it also says, Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he doesn't know that the knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme is even more important than religious formularities, which, you could construct a hierarchical, a hierarchy of importance with knowledge of the matter, soul, and supreme as most important. Then you have religious principles and formularities, and then you have politics and sociology. And so you could say that. And, it says, because he's lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. So unless you understand the hierarchy of importance and you understand the information, you shouldn't really be posing yourself as a very learned man. And even Arjuna, it says here that Arjuna shouldn't be posing himself as a very learned man. So, if you do pose yourself as a very learned man, you are saying that you are more learned than Arjuna at this point of the Bhagavad-gita, because as he continues through the Bhagavad-gita, he learns more, and we learn more by reading it. And it does say, as he did not happen to be a very learned man, just right after that, because he was lamenting about something which was unworthy of lamentation. So you could infer that from this. It's saying that lamentating, or having a lamentation, or lamenting, I'm not sure which word to use, they're all the same, but lamenting about something that is in the material world, or the matter, is showing a lack of knowledge, or a lack of separation between the material and the spiritual, and then the controller of both. And so, lamenting about, I don't know, whatever in the material world is showing that you're not a very learned person. So it goes like, you can get a lot from this purport, even though it's not the longest purport. But there's a lot to be there's a lot to think about. It does say the body is born and destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not important as the soul. One who knows this is actually very learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. And so that is a very important point. There's no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So no matter what condition you're in, whether you be rich, poor, got like a big house, small house, whatever it is, there should be no lamentation, because it is only the material body and has some connection to the soul, but the soul is more important. And it's not, it literally says, therefore the body is not important as the soul. And so, that's sort of my interpretation of the purport, talking about a contemporary application.
And I am prepped.
Well, I was talking for a while, so what do you got?
Oh, I'm grey. I don't like being grey. Contemporary application.
Or any other thoughts you have?
I was mainly thinking what you just said. Like, I was on that track, man, and then you said it, and I was like, oh, damn, now I have nothing to add on. So, for the contemporary application, yeah, I got nothing. Well, I'm thinking of something, but just need to come up with the full thing.
Put your hand in front of the camera to change the color balance.
Bye. Still grey. Still grey.
Move forward. Move backwards.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't have much for the contemporary application.
Okay, well, I got some.
Okay,
Move the green screen. We'll figure it out another time. But what you can take from this purport, in a real life application, is looking at who is posing themselves as learned men, and seeing do they have these sort of I'm not sure how to what do you call it, qualities yes, that is okay. You go, comment reader.
Your mama says that we still have to look after the body.
Yes, that is important. Still looking after the
is
body.
a temple.
The purport does not say that therefore the body is not important. It says therefore the body is not important as the soul. So that's why it is a hierarchy.
Prioritization.
Yeah. Not to put any of the points on the hierarchy down in importance, but to understand that some of them are more important than the others. Keeping up with your body's health, and not worrying about the body, but like thinking about it. It's still connected to the soul. And so it should still be thought after, but it shouldn't be the main point of thought. So any considerations should consider the supreme, and then the soul, and then the matter. So should be Krishna, and then your own soul, and then the body. So anything other than that is a deviation from what it says in the purport, basically. Let's see. How do you the comment's too big, it doesn't show off all of it. Oh wait, it does. There you go, comment reader.
Isha, keep going on the point about contemporary application. Who is the man/woman in knowledge and modern leaders? does that mean?
What exactly that?
Okay, modern leaders aren't exactly thinking about Bhagavan because I some of them I don't think even know him. What's the other thing? So probably aren't thinking about their souls, probably only thinking about material gain, and look how the world is coming to. Wow. On the brink of nuclear war. We're gonna die. Woo! Well, we're gonna die anyway. Still.
So what is the connection to the purport then?
If you are learned and you know about Bhagavan and you know about the soul, if you look back then, times were a lot better. It seems like it. Well, they're written like that. You need someone learned to be a leader, not someone just going after their own material gain and profit and stuff.
Well, not that they're necessarily better. Or they could be better or they could be worse. But the point is that there's more of an emphasis on, because, they still got war going on.
They got learned war.
Yeah, they still got all of that stuff going on. So it's not necessarily better or it's not necessarily worse. Life could be better, life could be worse. But that is only thinking at the lowest level of material, not talking about the spiritual realization. Thinking about the man or woman in knowledge and modern leaders, talking about that, there's a large percentage of leadership who doesn't look at the sort of hierarchical structure of importance and places a lot of importance on the material because that's what's all around them. I don't think
all they know, I think.
Yeah, it's all they know, and it's a lot of what is around them. Without the knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita or the knowledge of a spiritual master and the bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession, without the Bhagavad-gita, like previous Purport was saying, you can get I'm going to pull it up. Just to get it from where is it? I think it's this one. It was the one where we were talking about it quite a bit. Oh, man.
We got another comment.
Okay, comment reader.
What might leaders do differently if they did lead from this knowledge? Well, to be fair, we don't know. What might they do differently?
Yeah, the question is what would they and what might they? Very different.
Yeah, I know. What might they do differently? They might be smart. I don't know. They might teach everybody about it, and then everybody can be self-realized and go look for Vrindavan. What would I do differently? Well, I am the leader, so I ain't exactly in a position to talk about that. But if I was, I don't know what it's like to be self-realized. But if I was, I guess teach people, help people follow religious principles. Yeah. Follow religious principles, teach people about the religious principles, use my knowledge to benefit everybody. I don't know. Self-realization is confusing to me.
What's confusing about it?
Where's the fun?
Or what necessity does self-realization fun? Why does self-realization have to be fun? And if you don't know about self-realization,
it's not fun. It's boring.
Or how would you know that if you don't have it?
I don't have it, but, being self-realized. Live a life before being self-realized. I'm trying to get there.
But then you're implying that self-realization is a blocker to enjoyment, but
Enjoyment isn't.
the book it literally
body.
like, what does this say? What does this line say? Right, I'm gonna pull up on screen.
But they can achieve real happiness if they consult Krishna or the Bhagavad-gita.
So then you're just wrong. There's no counter argument. You're just emphatically wrong. The book just says so. There you go.
The book says so. All hail the book.
Indeed, the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna. Oh, I don't know if Krishna said that directly, but it literally says they can only achieve real happiness if they consult Krishna. And I think somewhere else it says self-realization is where you get the happiness from. Let me see.
You got to go Loka Vrindavan and be happy. Self-realization is cool.
Yeah, it literally says they can only achieve real happiness if they consult Krishna, the Bhagavad-gita, śrī-bhagavān, which constitutes the science of Krishna, or the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness. And so if economic developments and material nature, let's do this real quick. If economic developments and material nature could drive away one's lamentation for family, social, national, or international inebrities, inebrities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of the demigods and the heavenly planets will be able to drive away his lamentation. So economic development or supremacy of the world can be finished at any moment by the cataclysms of material nature. Even elevation into higher planetary situations, as men are now seeking place on the moon planet, can be finished in one stroke. When the results of pious activities are finished, one falls down from the peak of happiness to the lowest status of life. So there you go. It's like, self-realization is where the happiness is.
What is happiness?
Self-realization. Let me get back to my point is what I was pointing through before. You can only achieve real happiness if you consult Krishna, Bhagavad-gita, śrī-bhagavān. That line there, which I was talking about. Oh man, lost my train of thought. Yes. So, thinking about the man or the woman in knowledge and modern leaders. I'll pop that up. It's a question. Most of the modern leaders and stuff today are not following the hierarchical structure of supreme soul and matter, and aren't following the Bhagavad-gita or other sort of Vedic literatures, or just aren't following anything. They're just doing whatever seems good to them, whatever seems fun to them. And so that creates when the leaders are like that, it creates a culture which is like that, which is the antithesis of what the Bhagavad-gita is preaching in the Vedic literatures are saying. It's the antithesis of this. And the leaders currently, because they're not doing that, they're not thinking about the soul or the supreme, they're mainly thinking about just the matter. That's going to reflect in society. So, people are saying that a lot of people are very material in nature. They'll just want more and more stuff. They say that the goal of life is, making more money, doing this and that. But then, the body is born and destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. And then in the previous chapter I was looking at, because all these chapters like interlink with each other, so they're all real useful. I was looking at the problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death cannot be counteracted by the accumulation of wealth and economic development. So, having the goal of life being make more money, do all of this, is meaningless, because, the body can be vanquished either today or tomorrow, and nothing is going to be able to stop that. And then, it's done. But when there are leaders and people who present themselves as learned, who present themselves as learned and who are actually learned, they will be able to identify what is more important, what is the importance, supreme soul and matter, and then they'll act accordingly to that. Okay, these bodies are temporary, and they are it's said in a previous purport that the bodies are I'm not going to say exactly what it said, but basically the gist of it is that the bodies are a tool for spiritual advancement, and not using it is not good. That's what I remember. And so if the leaders were knowledge and learned, they would put more importance on spiritual advancements, and there would still be the material. You still want your body to live for as long as it can, be healthy, be comfortable, but that isn't the main goal. That's just a side quest. I've been looking at the wrong screen this whole time. But yeah, it's just a side quest. It is not the main. Yeah, it's not the main quest. And so just pursuing having the side quest as your main position is incorrect. Okay, there's a few more comments. Okay.
Lord Krishna will tell Arjuna that happiness is in the mode of goodness is... The next comment continues it. Poison in the beginning and nectar in the end.
Yeah. So, yesterday we were having a debate on the, I don't know what you call it, the acceptability of the
Chanting at Parliament.
doing chanting at Parliament or any sort of anti-government protests. And one of the points was, we won't do it now, but we'll be able to do more later, or because we'll be able to do more later, which is the opposite of that. Poison in the beginning and nectar at the end. Right now it might not look good. You'd be like, oh, it's a ruining to a reputation, this and that, but in the end it's nectar. And that's how it'll turn out. And so that is the mode of goodness. Any other comments? Anything else you wanted to say?
No.
I have been talking for a while. I'll just do that. I'm always amazed at how all of these purports and verses are so well interconnected and woven. You can see that the point or the arguments that Prabhupada is putting forward is connected to previous arguments, and then you can go through and read it and it all makes sense. You can see that, oh yes, this is like an addition from previous purports, and it will continue on in the next purports. As it says, it will be explained in later chapters. Prabhupada is always referencing this as a continuous sort of conversation, not just individual slices of wisdom. It's not like little fortune cookies that you open up and says, whatever. It is a continuous conversation. So yeah, I'm real impressed by that. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the questions, the comments. I always read the comments afterwards for the people who don't catch us live. It's always nice to see.
Thank you for the one person
interaction.
who constantly commented in this video.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Can I have some grapes?
Okay.
Give me the grapes. I want the grapes. Material enjoyment is grapes.
Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Krishna.
Grapes.
And we will see you next time.
Grapes. Bye.